And I think actually it was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk.
No deal. The U.S. and DPRK walk away from the negotiating table after talks between the two leaders break down in Hanoi. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean Calebs, filling in for Anna Naidu, and this is The Heat. Welcome, everyone. High-stakes diplomacy ends in a standoff. President Trump says a disagreement over sanctions was the deal breaker. The DPRK, meanwhile, is disputing Trump's explanation for why the summit in Hanoi collapsed. Pyongyang and Washington clearly not on the same page. CGTN's White House correspondent Jessica Stone has more from Hanoi.
Hello. If Singapore was about symbolism, Hanoi was supposed to be about outcomes.
There are people who hold a skeptical view of our meeting, and for them, I think watching us have a great time will be like watching a scene from a fantasy movie.
And if the DPRK nuclear talks are a movie, there's no ending yet. DPRK leader Kim Jong-un says he is willing to denuclearize.
If I'm not willing to do that, I won't be here right now.
But his demands are too high for Washington. Thursday afternoon, talks broke down. The signing ceremony was canceled. The White House moved up the time for the presidential press conference.
Sometimes you have to walk, and this was just one of those times.
During the press conference, U.S. President Donald Trump said the major sticking point in negotiations came down to the Yongbyon nuclear facility. He says Kim Jong-un was willing to fully denuclearize that facility, but only in exchange for a full lifting of all U.S. sanctions.
They wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. They were willing to denuke a large portion of the areas that we wanted, but we couldn't give up all of the sanctions for that.
For Trump, the effort is not a lost cause. He says he's grateful to the other nations who've pushed Pyongyang to engage and levied the punishing sanctions that led to the talks. How would you describe China's role in facilitating the engagement that's happened so far between Pyongyang and Washington?
I think China's been a big help, bigger than most people know. On the border, as you know, 93% of the goods coming into North Korea come through China. So there's a great power there. At the same time, I happen to believe that North Korea is calling its own shots. They're not taking orders from anybody. He's a very strong guy.
A strong guy whom Trump says he respects. A relationship he believes will lead to progress long term. But for now, the U.S. president leaves Hanoi without a deal, without a commitment to a next summit. Jessica Stone, CGTN, Hanoi, Vietnam.